Oh, well, hello there. Get some tools. You're gonna need some screwdriver. You're gonna need some pliers probably. Actually not really those wire cutters. Probably like just any pair of needle nose pliers will do. And I'm gonna use an X-Acto knife, but you can use a steam ripper if you have one. And I also got this other pair of pliers, which are pretty good. And this guy, he's actually broken, but let's get to it. Okie dokie, so we got some fur now. What we're gonna do is we're just gonna cut 2 long strands of these in the diameter of the Furby we want, and we're gonna sew them together because I do not have, like, the length of one of these guys normally is not long enough. Okay, there we go. We sewed that together right there, making this big guy. Also, I think the diameter was like 18 inches or something. Yeah, but just play around with it, see what you want. Right now, what we need to do is we're gonna play around with this stuff so that we can give him some arms. We're gonna take 2 of these guys off. Like, well, I mean 2 chunks. Probably 4 chunks of 2. And we're gonna gonna glue them together so like they're double-ended basically, so that they will fit on one of these guys. Like, so we can stack multiple of them together. There's probably a piece for that, but I didn't get that, so. Also, again, we got these tools for taking these guys apart. They're a lifesaver. There we go, we got these guys, we took them off using these pliers, and we're gonna glue them. We're gonna take like a chopstick or something, put them between the 2, and then glue them together like this, like with like super strength glue or super glue, maybe hot glue, probably industrial strength glue if we can find any, but we're gonna do that. Okay, we did that. Did a stick, hot glue, and I'll probably put some duct tape around these as well, but these are strong. And then we'll just put them on like that. Wait, I might have only needed 1. Well, we have another one for the next Furby. We also have to find the distance that we want the arms to be apart, and we'll make that distance. And then we'll have some for the head and some for the tail. Let's try this distance. I might make it equal on both sides, but nah, I don't think we will. Let's put them together now with this thing. Now there we go, and let's put this on the big spine. Well, I need to figure out how long we want to make it first. So I'll measure that guy out, and we'll see how long we can make it. So we got this guy all done. I think I'm going to make his arms longer. If I do, I'm going to have to add more armature. But I also took this cardboard thing we made earlier and drew the face on there. And this guy, the pelt. And that's as long as I think I'm going to make him. I added a little bit extra just in case anything happens. And I'm going to cut around this pattern, leaving like about 1 inch for seam allowance, which is going to be real fun. Oh yeah, and I'm going to take the faceplate off. I actually got a seam ripper now, which is just like a little guy, yeah, like that. And we're just going to take the face off. Here it is. And then now we're going to cut the inside middle of this out, and we're going to leave enough room for the faceplate to go in there, and then we'll sew the faceplate on, and then we will sew this like how it's supposed to be together, so everything makes sense. There it is. We've done it. Okay. Next part will probably be to sew, make the ears and the head fluff. So we're gonna make 2 incisions here and here. I'll plan them out a bit, and then once that's done, I'll get some more of this fur that I cut off earlier, and we're gonna make those into ears. Okay, so we got these guys, we got triangles here, I just got matching ones here. We're gonna sew them like inside out, leaving the bottoms undone, so that we can just sew them onto the body. Once I didn't cut them yet, but we can do that once these guys are sewn on. Now, like this, they're inside out now. But then what we're gonna do is we're gonna sew them on like this, so that when we push them inside out from like the way they are now, they'll be right side up. Like now, what I'm gonna do is I made them hat angled so that they like fit each side specifically, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this and just measure this distance and draw a line there, and then I'll cut along it, and then we can sew this part in, like the ears in. Now we're on the operating table. So first things first, we're gonna go over the anatomy of a Furby. We're gonna start with the outsides, and then we're gonna go work our way inside as we get through this monstrosity. So, as you can see right here, you have tail, the little peeps, the ears, little mohawk thing, its fur, and its face. What's also obvious is this battery pack on the bottom, which is one of the first things that we need to actually interact with if we're gonna take this guy. This guy's actually broken, hence why I'm just gonna use the face off this. But what we're gonna do for other guys is a little bit different, and I'll tell you what we do when we get there. So with that, let's get started. So the first thing we're gonna do, take our screwdriver and we're gonna take off the battery pack. Well, or rather open it. And how we do that is we just unscrew it here. And you can take out your batteries if they're inside. And that's what we're at now. Okay, so now to the next part. So what we're gonna do is skin the Furby. This is one of my favorite parts of Furbies because they're quite obviously gods, and they should be freed from their fleshly bodies. And the way we do that is we take off their ears first. And you see, I can't tell if you can see it from there, but there's a little seam right here. And that's basically how he uses motors to control his ears. And what we're gonna do is we're just gonna take our X-Acto knife, or seam ripper if you do, and make a small incision. Just try cutting that out. And then we'll just be able to pull the ear off. And right now, they just come off like this. This is horrifying. So the next thing that we're going to do is we are going to take off the base. I have a pair of pliers here for that, and if you see right under its butt, its tail right here, you're gonna see a zip tie right under here. It's a little bit hard to see, but what we do then from here is we've got to cut the zip tie off. So we're just gonna either take our pliers or a knife, be careful, and you're just gonna cut it off. Only the zip tie, not the seam, which is it's a very common mistake at this point. Now what we do is we can just pull that zip tie out, like that, and its skin falls right off, allowing us to see what's truly beneath this pitiful fleshly form. You can pull them up a little bit, and that leaves us with this. Yeah. So, what happens right now is we see its faceplate right here. Like under here. You see what I mean? Yeah. So it's actually connected via two screws right here and right here. And what we're going to do is take a small screwdriver. You could theoretically do this with like a big automatic one, but I would highly recommend not, because these are very small screws. You don't want to lose them. And I think it's worth it just to, try. Why not? Again, it's a plus sign, so you don't use don't use a Phillips screwdriver. Yeah, you know what I mean. I think I'm making sense. So we take this and we just unscrew it. I'm gonna get a new screwdriver. Okay guys, I'm back with a new screwdriver. It's a bigger one, but it has a small fine tip, and we're just gonna be real careful, and we're not gonna hurt the Furby at all. Because if we hurt it before we make it into its true form, who knows what it will do to us. And we just repeat this for both sides. So, with this done right now, we take the screws out, and you want to be really careful not to misplace these. I recommend getting a magnet and just sticking them to it. And then that frees up this. And what we also have to know now is that there's actually glue that holds the rest of the fur on. And we can either 1, cut it out, or 2, just rip it out. I would recommend cutting it out. I'll try ripping it, and then if that doesn't work, I'll cut it, and we'll see what happens. Also, be careful because that is his ear. So, we don't want to be careful to damage his ear. Yeah. He's freed at last. What have I done with my life? What have I done with it? Where has it all gone? Everything for this. Everything for him. It's all it takes. Just one glimpse. So the next thing I did was turn what was its fur into a rug. So basically I just cut it along all the seams. You should probably use a seam ripper if you plan to do this. And I just used an X-Acto knife because I didn't have a seam ripper on me. But basically this gives us a blueprint for how we will eventually cut our Furbies, assuming we don't want to use the exact same fur. You could just use the same fur if you are going to go for the same fur color. Just make sure that you have a similar fur if you're going to longify it, because it will look weird if it just changed from one color to another. But what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take this and trace this onto a thing of cardboard. And then just go around it. Not around the feet, just because we're not going to have the feet parts there. But we're going to do that, and we're just going to go around it. And that will give us an outline of what this person will eventually look like. That leaves you with this pattern. I'm just going to cut it out. It looks like a t-shirt or something. But what we're going to do next is just cut it out, and then we'll be able to use it as a pattern to find whatever, or to cut whatever fur that we want into the pattern that will fit on the Furby body. We'll make it look like Furby head specifically. I would also recommend making sure little things for the eyes and also ears, which I'm just going to do in a minute, just so that you know where they go and there's no surprises. Let's get this going. Okay, so now that that's over with, what we're going to do is we're going to fix this guy. And what we're going to do is we're going to take one of these things, and you see there's actually screws here and here on his sides. And we're going to take the small plus-sized screwdriver, and we're going to just unscrew them there. This isn't plus-sized. It's tiny, but plus, yeah, okay. What we're going to do is we're going to unscrew them there, and unscrew them there, and there, and also, by the way, this guy, so what we also have to do when we do that is take this thing out here on his top. This is the camera that the government used to spy on you. Technically legal, but you know that was a joke. But, and I'm just gonna see if I can rip his face off here. I'm not gonna try that. But I could. And now, with that out of the way, you see what's truly on the inside. Oh frick, there's another one right there. So, with this guy open, I decided to put batteries in him, and I decided to fix him. So the first thing I did was I took a small, what is this called? Screwdriver, and there's this gear in here, and you just gotta spin it a bunch. Literally just sort of spinning it to basically just clogs up all the gears, and that was the problem. So now this guy is working, and he's evil. Where have I gone wrong? Now that that's fixed, what we're going to do next is we're going to take out the mouth. So basically, if you look, there's an axle holding it in. Basically just a stick that holds it in so that the mouth can open and close. What we're going to do is we're going to take something small and thin, like a needle, or ideally the thickest thing that will fit in here, but a needle will do just fine. And we're just going to try and push this through and then pull it out with a pair of pliers. Since it's hollow, it's open at both ends, we can just push it right through. And that will allow us to take the beak out. And now, we see what truly matters on the inside. There's also this thing right here. This right here. We just take it out. Look at that. That is his speaker. Well, microphone I meant. The speaker is actually right in front. That's quite obvious. So with this, what we can do from here is admire his beauty. So that's the bar I'm talking about, and we can just pull it out if we need to. I personally am not going to, only because I think this should work without it. There's also a screw behind here, which I just took out, but there's one right there. And that is the one that holds the rest of the faceplate in. So once that's done, we can just pull it in, like pull it out. And with that, we're just gonna take our pliers and pull this one string right through. Well, not string, this one axle, so that we can get the face fully through, and then we should be good. Like this. And that takes the top of the mouth right there, and the bottom, and the tongue. And there's the teeth. Also, we had to take out this front thing if we want to actually like fully remove it, because it's also connected down there. But that's what we're gonna find out. So I undid those two screws in the front, and we can take this guy out. And if you look right down there, that's another screw that we have to take out. So we're gonna take our screwdriver, and we can just either take everything else out, or we can just shimmy it in there and unscrew it from there, which is what I'm gonna do, because that's what I would rather do. Let's get this spread. Now, with that guy done, you can see right there, it just comes off. His entire face just comes straight off, leaving us with his teeth inside there and his sensors, which I think would be really fun just to play around with. But I think we're gonna try and take this part out so that his mouth will stay shut, because currently for the project that I'm doing, we're only just gonna need his faceplate, and we can do everything else with the electronics later. By the way, I should probably explain how we do that. So what we do is there's this thing right here, and we just there's a screw right here, and we unscrew that, and then we just take it out like that. It's just, that's what holds this bar in, and that bar is what is connected to this little mouth thing. So as you can see, when we move mouth, that moves up and down. That's our first step to taking this part out. Okay, so next part is, I see there's 2 screws right here. We're gonna take those guys out so that we can take this part as like the top part as a whole off. Yeah. Next thing is there's a screw here and a screw here. We're gonna take those off, and those are what hold this big top part in place. So we'll just take those out and we'll see what happens next. There's also one right there that we have to undo. And with that, we can just pull this up. And you have to be real careful about this whole thing, because this guy's just in there. And we gotta pull this, oh, yeah. We just can pull this entire thing out and up. And with that, the whole guy just comes apart. Now, if we want to keep everything intact, we have to be really careful about this. So what I'm going to do is make sure that every part is not cataloged, but kept in the spot where you know where it came from. I recommend at this point clearing off your table, whatever you're working on, and just setting everything up so you know where it came from, and it's all good. Let's get this spread. So once you pull this guy out, you can see your mouth, the mouthpiece you want, is actually in here. And so what we're going to do is, if you don't care about anything else, you can just snip that right there, or you can just pull it apart and you got it. We just put it all back together and then repeat the process, but in reverse. It's annoying, it's very hard, so unless you want to use it for later like I do, then I wouldn't recommend it. But we're gonna do it anyway. Let's get to that. Okay, with that done, what we do now is this teeth go back in. I just say that because they look like teeth to me. And we're just gonna put his mouth back together, like so. And keep in mind, his tongue goes in here, and they all line up together to fit right through. So this fits right through them, and then this is in the back, with the tongue sitting in the middle like this. I think it's much easier to see when I just show you when it's finished, so yeah. Here's what he looks like now. He's just flopping around. So what we do is we take this, and you want to make sure that you get the orientation correct. That this guy is going to go so that his tongue will stay up. And we push the 2 little prongs right there between each one of those things in the back of his mouth, and his tongue goes back here. So it's like that. And with that, he can speak. Now what we're going to do also is we're going to take this part of his eyes, and we're going to glue them down, just because we want his eyes to stay up. And then with that, we can just leave his eyes up or down, and they'll more or less stay in place. Like that. By the way, this is also the time that if you want to like do anything fancy, like repaint it or change his eye color, their eye color actually, that you would do it. The eyes come out the same way as the mouth, just poke a hole and just, actually in fact you could just probably push it through with a pair of pliers and just pull it out the rest of the way like this. But what we want to do right here is we're going to take these eyes out, assuming we want to replace the eyes with a different color. Now here's the time for some ultra sciencey stuff. We're going to take 2 sticks of hot glue, melt the end of them, and just stick them on there, like on his eyes, put him in the freezer, and then we'll just be able to rip his eyes out. That's a horrifying statement, but we're going to do it anyway. Now, this is what I mean. So be careful with hot glue, by the way. So we just take 2 sticks of hot glue, put them here, and we can just pull the eyes out like that. Be careful. Sometimes it won't work, so we have to retry it again, but like this one, it will work, and we'll do it again. Let's try this again. I don't think it's gonna work. Darn. Okay, we're gonna use the other end, and we're just gonna let it sit for a little bit longer than normal, and we'll get it. Let's try it one more time. Go, come on. It's working, but I'm just bad at this. We're gonna try again. I should let it dry for more, and I didn't actually put it in the freezer, but we're gonna do that now because it's still too warm to pull that out. So we're gonna try that now. Okay, I just did it and it worked. Now what we can do is we take the eyes off the hot glue, and we can scrape the backs off them, but like with a craft knife or something. And then we can just paint the inverse of the eye color that we want on it. Or we could just paint it on here, and we can just then put some like little dab of glue on it. I'm deciding still what to do, but we'll find out which. So I got these two. These are the eyes now. I sanded the bottom of them. I just basically placed them and rubbed them on a piece of sandpaper until they were like this now. They're a little bit foggy, but I think I could polish them if I want. And I'm just going to basically get a piece of paper and using acrylic paint the design I want for the eyes on that, and then I'll be able to place the paper between this and here, these eyes. So we're going to try that now. Okay, so day 2 for this, I put some paint on the eyes and I just plop them back in there. So now we're given these eyes. We can put them back in the thing, and that will leave us with our face. So now we're just left with this guy, his mouth, and his eyes, which are going to just fall down usually. Oh, they don't. That's good. Now we're just gonna make his third eye. Grant us eyes so that we may see. I use the hot glue method on these, and now I have an eye. That's just an eye, and I'm making it golden as well. So we sanded it down, painted it golden, and we put the eye thing back in, and we're gonna put that eye right in between the forehead. I think I might put some like hot glue or something between the little cracks there, just so that it's there nicely. And maybe I'll put some eyelashes on it. I don't know. Let's see. Where has it all gone wrong? I hear them. But does anyone hear me? Now we just tie this thing, not tie, we sewed these parts together. I also did the first part of the back, and we just put those two together like this. And then, so then we can just tie, sew around the bottom, the back of the nape of the head. Yeah. Time to put this guy inside out, and we're gonna put him on that thing, and it's gonna be hard, but we're gonna do it. Yeah. So we got some of the hands, and the hands, what we're gonna do is we're gonna paint them white. And I was going to put them in this yogurt container, but that didn't work. So I mean, like the paint there, the paint in the yogurt container, and then that didn't fit the brush which I want to use because I want to use a big brush, and then we put it in here, and that should work. Also, we're gonna paint them white because that's the color we want them to be. For these guys, when you paint them, I would recommend making sure that, like, painting them a few times in various positions, like all the way forward, all the way back, so that there's like no little gaps between, like, when they bend the fingers, when whoever bends the fingers and they do that. Like, see how there's a little bit of, whatever it's called, a little bit of wood right there? A little bit of wood right there. Yeah, I think you get what I mean. There we go. A little bit of stun wood right there. We're just gonna paint over that. So we got these hands, we painted them, and what we're gonna do next is we're gonna take these guys, take the little felt pads off at the bottom, and draw a little, wait, I think there's already a hole there. Well, we're gonna take the felt pads off. If there's not a hole there, we're gonna drill a hole, and then we'll draw a bigger hole so we can attach the little doll armature pieces to it. If there is something under there, like, that holds everything together, in that case, we'll probably just glue them on. Let's find out. So as it turns out, there's a little springs that hold everything together, like hold the hands and all that. So what we're gonna do now is we're just gonna glue the little, these pieces we have on here. These pieces. And we're just gonna glue them onto the hands in a way, yeah, like this, I think, so that everything fits together. Yeah. So, apparently you can just take these guys off. Like, there's just a thing on the bottom, you can just pull it out. So, if you're painting these, you should probably just, like, paint the inside of this and the inside of this so that, like, when they bend, they look all good and that. Yeah, but I'm just gonna basically sit them up like this, and then I also have some industrial strength glue here, and we're just gonna glue the guys on here so that they stick forever. If that doesn't work, then we're just gonna drill a hole through these guys, a tad bigger than this one, just enough so that the little armature fits through them, and then we'll glue them in place there, so then they'll be in forever. Let's do this. I also just realized that when you have these things, they don't, like, connect, so I just have to put these guys, I have to connect them when they're like this. So make sure you keep the bottoms on after you paint them. So next thing is you take the hands, and once you glued the thing onto them, or the armature, you can attach the armature to the rest of the Furby and then put it on there. And I think it was also pretty good just to hot glue and staple or staple the fur then to here so that no fur will come out the sides, and you're just left with like an articulated hand right here, which is pretty cool. Here they are. Here they are in their glory. Nice to meet you. There he is at Zen, at peace. Yeah, I don't know why I made this. Like, follow, subscribe. And share this with your friends.